Few topics ignite as much curiosity as what happens after death. For those who have lived for decades, seen friends depart, and begun to feel their bodies slow down, this question becomes closer, almost intimate. Edgar Cayce, known as the sleeping prophet who unlocked mysteries of the soul, left behind impressive records of what he claimed to see on the other side. In a rare recording, forgotten for years, he speaks with serenity about what human consciousness encounters when it detaches from the body. This content, kept away from the public for so long, has recently been transcribed by scholars. It's direct, straightforward, and surprisingly clear. According to him, death isn't the end but a conscious transition. Moreover, it's experienced with lucidity. For those who fear the moment of departure, these revelations offer not just answers, but also a peace that's hard to explain. A peace that only those nearing that crossing can truly understand. Cayce's words weren't meant to shock, but to guide. He believed that the fear of death stemmed from ignorance about it, and that's why he insisted that knowing what awaits us could completely change how we live our final years. In this recovered excerpt from the interview, he describes in detail what happens in the first moments after passing. According to him, the spirit detaches from the body gently, like waking from a deep sleep. There's no pain, no confusion, just the clear perception of being alive but on another plane. Many seniors who have heard this account say they felt immediate relief. If this video brings you any comfort or reflection, please consider showing your support with a like or subscribing to keep up with content like this. Sometimes, a simple piece of information can calm years of silent doubt. In Cayce's view, each soul goes through a sort of life review, but without judgment in the traditional sense. He describes it as if consciousness were to travel in seconds through all the important moments, not to be punished, but to understand. The pain we caused and the love we offered return as pure sensations without excuses or masks. This process wouldn't be imposed by a higher being, but guided by the soul itself, which desires to understand its path. This idea contrasts with the fear of eternal punishment that so many religions have imposed over the centuries. For Cayce, there's no fixed heaven or hell. There are states of consciousness created by our actions, feelings, and intentions. And that changes everything. It changes how we look at our mistakes and especially how we choose our next steps while we're still here. When recounting these experiences, Cayce didn't make promises of an absolute paradise, nor did he threaten with punishment. He simply shared what he said he saw during his trances. One of the most touching descriptions is that of reunion. He stated that, after the detachment from the body, many souls are greeted by loved ones who have already passed. The encounter is silent, but deeply emotional. Recognition happens through feeling, not physical appearance. Parents, siblings, friends, even former loves appear to welcome, as if they've been waiting all along. This, according to Cayce, helps the soul not to get lost in this new space. For many seniors who have already lost nearly everyone around them, this image is especially powerful. The idea that no one departs alone, that there's a hug waiting on the other side, completely transforms the fear of the end into a new expectation. Another strong point of the interview is the explanation of time on the spiritual plane. Cayce reported that on the other side, time doesn't follow the same logic as here. A second can feel like an eternity, and at the same time, years can pass in the blink of an eye. That's because the soul moves by intention, not by the clock. This absence of time as we know it helps us understand why some spiritual presences seem so immediate, even decades after someone has passed. He said that the spirit continues to learn, grow, and even help those who remain. Often, when we think of someone dear who has passed and feel a sudden warmth in our chest, it may not just be longing, it may be their presence itself, subtle and discreet, trying to comfort. For those at the end of their journey, knowing this can bring a kind of hope that's hard to describe but easy to feel. Cayce also addressed the importance of inner preparation, not in the traditional religious sense, but in cultivating peace, gratitude, and awareness. For him, the soul carries with it the vibration of what it has lived, not what it has accumulated, not titles or possessions, but what it has felt and made others feel. He insisted that the moment of passing shouldn't be an accident of nature, but a dignified, conscious light closure. Therefore, he recommended that everyone, in their later years, review their life with honesty and serenity. To ask for forgiveness, to forgive, to give thanks, to free themselves from what weighs them down. Not to please some celestial judge, but to lighten their own soul. Because, according to him, everything we don't resolve here, we take with us. And in the spiritual world, this weight doesn't disappear, it only becomes clearer. Those who understand this early on depart with more lightness, and those who depart that way begin their new journey better. A curious excerpt from this interview is when he talks about those who deny any possibility of life after death. According to Cayce, these souls, when faced with the new reality, may feel confused for some time. They don't suffer, but they take longer to realize that they're no longer trapped in the physical body. He said that in these cases, spiritual guides and close family members act with delicacy, helping the soul to find its bearings. This shows that it's not a matter of belief, but of internal reality. Believing or not believing doesn't change the process, but it can change how it's experienced. And that's why Cayce encouraged us to talk about this topic naturally, especially with the elderly. Because for him, understanding the transition is a way to live the present better.